Well, this is one we have been waiting for a very long time. What seems like a long time, 10 weeks at least. The Seahawks finally meeting the Rams, and I don't think any of us anticipated just how big this matchup would be when it rolled around. Both teams coming in at 7-2, and as we're going to discuss today, top 5 in just about every category in the league. You can make the argument that these are the best two teams in the league right now playing each other when they are playing their best. And we're going to break it all down and talk about it with Jake Ellenbogen, who does such a great job covering the Rams, up next on Seahawks Forever.
Welcome to the Seahawks Forever podcast. In-depth analysis on everything Seahawks. And now, here's your host, Dan Viens.
Give a big shout out to my sponsors from Fast Fashion Brewing in Seattle, down in Soto on First Avenue, right across the street from Showbox Soto, right next door to Hooverville. They make fantastic beers. I've been telling you that all season. Matt Storm and his father Randy and their brewmasters there and everything they do. But now it's being recognized nationally. Beer and Brewing Magazine, Craft Beer and Brewing Magazine, just named their. It's the Fast Fashion Crop Top. Their Bavarian Pilsner, one of the top 20 beers in the entire country for the year 2025. I've been telling you to go check them out. Do it whenever you can. And if you do, and Matt's there, say hi to him, tell him you watch the show, and enjoy some of their tasty beverages. Before we get to my conversation with Jake, if you would please subscribe to the channel. Almost 50% of you who watch on a regular basis do not subscribe. All it costs you is a mouse click, but it tells YouTube that maybe this is some material that other people want to watch, and it puts it in front of more people. All the other ways that you can help support me as a full-time independent content creator are listed and linked down below. Check out the new website, nwforever.com. That stands for Northwest Forever, and that'll take you to the Patreon page where you can get all of my content, audio, video, Substack, Discord, all under one roof. Voting closes today on the Bracket of Boom for the first round of that. It is a monthly tournament where you get to decide a topic for me to produce a video on. Today's the last day of voting for the first round, and then we get to the semifinals next week before deciding on a topic. All right. Always enjoy talking to Jake. He's been covering the Rams for a very long time, does a tremendous job with them. You see him on the NFC West roundtable with my Seahawks syndicate partner Brandon Kane as well. Jake is a very passionate fan of his own team, and that will come across. You'll get that, but listen closely and just open your eyes, because he is also very, very objective and gives respect when it is due to the opponent. And spoiler alert, he thinks a lot of it is due, in this case, for the Seattle Seahawks. Here's my conversation with Jake. All right, Jake, good to see you again. First time in 2025. First of all, side note, hate the NFL scheduling sometimes. It's ridiculous that we had to wait till week 11 for this, but all it does is just ramp up the anticipation, right? And I want to ask you right off the top, the most important thing, the most important aspect of all the different storylines in this game, the thing everybody wants to know, how do you feel about the Rams rivalry uniforms?
I like them. I have this thing where I'm like, it's my favorite team. They're coming out with a new uniform. I knew about the black about 2 to 3 years ago before it even actually came out. It's a lot different than what I was told, so I think things changed. But I bought the damn thing. And then I bought another one because I liked it. So, yeah, I like it. Obviously, I would have preferred like the numbers to be yellow. I would have liked to just view it as just, okay, it's black, but like we don't have like the white and then like the all, but it's grown on me significantly. I love the helmet shell. I have it behind me there. So yeah, I love the helmet shell. I think that's my favorite part about it. And I guess if I was to change anything where it's just color wise, I would just make it full on black. It's very close to black, but it's not black all the way. So I think I would make it black. And if I had any decision, I might have honestly gone with yellow, because I like the all yellow uniforms that they wore back with the color rush. So
Color rush, baby.
Yeah, you know, I like it. I understand a lot of Rams fans don't. It is funny. They got the horns on the shoulders right on that uniform, whereas they don't have it right on the current one. But I kind of love it. As long as it has the horns, I'm really not going to complain at the end of the day.
Yeah, I liked him, and I posted that. I tweeted that and took a lot lot of blowback. Some people get really fired up about uniforms. I think I'm just a lot more forgiving. I like alternate uniforms. I think for the most part, they all kind of look cool. It's just one game, right? There you go. And I've heard in the sunlight, you can see there, it's actually called midnight blue, right? Or midnight. You can see the blue tones come out a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, what does that look like to you right now? Does that look black or blue?
Yeah. Looks black.
Yeah. So I think they were trying to go with it. And then there were people that were saying, well, they're not a black, they don't have black schemes. So like they shouldn't have that. And I would push back and say, well, 1937, when they were founded, their first ever uniform combination was red and black. So that's not even true.
Did not know that. Yeah.
I am a historian, so I love this stuff. And I did know that.
All right, let's talk about the big picture here, and then we'll get into some of the minutia. Let me just rattle off a couple of numbers here. Some team stats, some individual stats of where these two teams stack up. It's pretty remarkable. Number 1 and 2 in DVOA, scoring offense and scoring defense per game. The only two teams in the league that are both in the top 5. Point differential, they're second and third. EPA per play, EPA versus the rush, run stop win rate, PFF overall team grade, all top 2 or top 5 at the worst. Individually, the top 2 graded quarterbacks per PFF, top 2 in EPA per dropback, top 2 in passer rating. In success rate, they're both in the top 3 with Daniel Jones. Turnover worthy play rate. It's remarkable. You get into the receivers, top 1 and 2 in PFF grade and in total yards. Is this the most evenly matched that you can recall these teams being since Sean McVay arrived?
Absolutely. I think this, and I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm going to say it. Brandon, my friend Brandon, he and I did a show together, and I said that this, and I'm not saying that's where they are right now, but this has a chance to be the best Seahawks team of all time. And this has a chance to be the best Rams team of all time. I think that's what we're looking at. I think we're looking at a Seahawks defense that is top 5. We're looking at a Seahawks offense that's top 5 and the best special teams unit in football. And I think we're looking at potentially the best Rams offense they've had since the greatest show on turf, and maybe even better. The numbers aren't going to be there because earlier in the year. I think what you get right now is this is the best offense. Their defense is top 3, and their special teams, while it looks worse than it actually was because of the kicking operation, which they struggled earlier in the year, they may have fixed that, and they do a nice job on the kick coverage. They're one of the top 5 teams in kick coverage. So, yeah, I think we're getting, I said it about 2 to 3 weeks ago in my power rankings. These are the 2 best teams in football. And I got a lot of flack for that because people are like, how do you put them ahead of the Eagles? The Eagles beat the Rams. I'm like, how do you still not know what a power ranking is? Like, it doesn't matter that they beat them in week 3. They're a different team now. So, yeah, the way I see it is that the NFC West is the best division in football. And I think these two teams are not only playing this game to potentially take over the NFC West and win the division because they do play against each other again, but they are going to potentially have to sweep the other if they want that number 1 seed. That's the thing people don't talk about. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because these teams are better than the Eagles, but the Eagles get to play Dallas again. They get to play 2 more times against the Commanders. It's kind of unfair because they have a very easy division now. The Giants aren't good. The Commanders aren't good. The Cowboys aren't very good. So unfortunately, the 2 best teams in the NFC, we could see one team as the 5 seed and the other as the 2. And that's just what we're looking at here. So that is one of the things, Dan, where I think this makes this game so important because they're both important. And I had them before the season splitting, but if one of these teams wants to claim that number 1 seed and have home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs, they may have to have the sweep. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. And I'm with you. Now, for the sake of objectivity, you've been very complimentary of the Seahawks team since week 3 or 4. Like you could see what was happening. I picked the Rams to win this division before the season. I thought they were the most complete team as long as Matthew Stafford was healthy. And let's start there. It's amazing to think back 12 weeks to where we were with Matthew Stafford not practicing, getting an epidural on his back. That's how bad he was at the age of 37. To be here in week 11 and talk about how well he's playing. It's absolutely remarkable. First player in NFL history to go 3 straight games with 4 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions. Only 2 interceptions on the year. The numbers are all off the charts. Did you think that we would get here? Did you expect him to bounce back from that back injury and be this good this year?
Oh yeah, I was all over the feed. People were like, "What do you know?" I'm like, "I'm not saying, but I'm telling you right now, it's not a big deal. It's just not." And I felt very confident. Not only was Matthew Stafford going to ball out, and this wasn't going to affect him, but I felt like he had a chance to be a part of the best offense they've had, because they finally have a true X receiver. I mean, this is the best X receiver they've had since Torrey Holt. So I think when you look at Davante Adams, he just opens up so many different things. He allows you to do so many different things with Puka Nacua, with Adams himself, with Matthew Stafford, and then everyone else gets better having been around those two guys. Adams has been a leader, and they needed that, because losing, Cooper Kupp, I know they moved on from him, and they kind of had to. They didn't really have a choice. There wasn't really a spot for him, and I think you get into kind of the tough things that you don't really want to talk about. But what I noticed is that Cooper Kupp meant so much to this organization that I don't think they were ever going to be able to run the offense the way they wanted to if they didn't get rid of him, because he's not one of those guys you can just phase out of the offense. They felt like they owed like that seniority to him. Everybody looked up to him in that wide receiver room. So I think that kind of held back their offense last year. He had some moments. He had a 100-yard game, 2 touchdowns against the Patriots. He had a big game to start the year against the Lions when Nacua went down. But still, he was playing that X role, and he just wasn't built for that. He was the guy that's going to win over the middle. You're going to find different ways. I mean, I was just watching the Super Bowl the other day. He doesn't move like that anymore. So, that's the thing. And now you enter Davante Adams, and they're the same age, but Adams just moves better. And when you look at just the way he's able to garner attention as that X receiver, they didn't have that chemistry early on because Stafford missed so much camp. So when they, got that after week 5, you started to see, the red zone operation has been off the charts. I don't think I've ever seen a Sean McVay red zone offense look this good. And that's been his Achilles heel. You go back to Washington, I think they were 26th that year with Kirk Cousins. That's been his thing. But, the crazy thing, the last 3 games, the Rams, including just touchdowns, right? Not just scoring, but touchdowns in the red zone, 86.67%, which it's insanely enough is second in the league behind the Falcons. But obviously that could be misleading because the Falcons aren't getting to the red zone as much as the Rams are. So, yeah, it's been wild, Dan. 15 out of 16 in the red zone as far as touchdowns are concerned. But yeah, I think Matthew Stafford is playing the best football of his entire career. I think he sees that, if they are able to protect him or if they're not able to protect him, he's now so wise. And Bill Belichick actually, talked about this. He's so wise with all the years he's spent in every sort of situation imaginable, whether the team was complete dog water, Super Bowl level, really good, on the cusp. It doesn't matter. He's been in every single situation up to age 37, and he's seen it all, and he's played with every type of player. I feel like now he just can get himself out of any of those situations. And what we saw is the beginning of the year, the offensive line wasn't blocking well up front. It's still not great. It's good. It's not great. It's not the Super Bowl season offensive line. But that said, Stafford is still making so many plays because he's getting rid of the ball so quickly. He's got that internal clock that's ingrained into his brain, and we're seeing it. So he's not dicking and dunking either. These numbers, they're going deep down the field. They are testing the deep part of the field and the short, and intermediate, but mainly they're testing that intermediate to deep part of the field. And he's just been pinpoint. Not a lot of these interceptions are like he only has 2, and he hasn't thrown one since, I believe, the Eagles game. So it's been a sight to see, man. And, I'm glad because I was waiting for the moment where people finally start to say, you know what, maybe Matthew Stafford is in that elite tier. maybe we can stop acting like he's just behind. There's no reason, and I understand how this sounds, but there's no reason to me to leave him out of the conversation of the Mannings, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, all those guys. Rodgers. I mean, Stafford, I think, is right in that conversation, and he just played for the Lions.
Right.
Colin Cowherd brought it up all the time because he doesn't like Rodgers. I do, so I don't feel like I have a bias here. But, he brings it up all the time. Like, if Rodgers started with the Lions and Stafford started with the Packers, who has the better career? Who has more Super Bowls? And you know what? I'll say this right now. I think Stafford has more Super Bowls than Rodgers. I think Rodgers might be a tick more talented, but I think Stafford is more intelligent football-wise. And I think Stafford is more clutch. He might not have the crazy Hail Mary performances that, Rodgers has had, right? He's had those big moments, but Stafford's also had big moments. And I think they're, right now, I saw PFF's grades and you have Sam Darnold first and second quarter, highest rated quarterback. Well, Stafford's the third and fourth quarter. He's the highest rated quarterback. And that's not a surprise because in the fourth quarter, when push comes to shove, I mean, he locks in. So, yeah, what you have is a great matchup. I think Darnold is in the conversation for MVP. Maybe he doesn't have the touchdown Stafford does, but he's been stellar and he's been doing a really nice job taking care of the football. But I just can tell, when people like kind of, they say they write Darnold off and say he's seeing ghosts and stuff. It's like, okay, so you haven't watched Darnold since he was on the Jets. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah. And I want to talk about that next. I think you have a unique perspective on this. So
yeah,
in the offseason when the Seahawks made that quarterback change, and I believe everything they've said. I have maintained ever since then that was not the plan, that they thought Geno Smith was going to be a good fit for this offense and vice versa. They were planning on having Geno Smith be their quarterback in 2025. He wanted out. They quickly pivoted. Fortunately for them, Sam Darnold was available because usually the free agent quarterback class on any given offseason is hot garbage. This just happened to be a year where, two guys, both departing the Minnesota Vikings, have ended up being good finds. He still, one of the reasons that move came with so much skepticism and that national analysts were so slow to embrace the changes that were happening here in Seattle and also the change, DK Metcalf being shipped out. It's why they were picked third and sometimes fourth in this division. Nobody wanted to buy into him. I think Vegas had him at 7.5 for the over-under on wins. And it was all because of those last two games last year. People just couldn't get over those, particularly the playoff loss to the Rams, in which you could look at the rest of the numbers. It really wasn't as bad as it looked. He was 25 out of 40, a lot of passing volume there, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, but it was the 9 sacks. I think he takes too much heat for that. I think it was a complete operational failure. There's a reason the Vikings kicked that entire interior offensive line out and replaced them in the offseason, made some big moves there, spent a lot of money to bring in Will Fries and Ryan Kelly and et cetera.
Blame Cam Robinson. He cost him so much money, man. Like, Darnold should have had 15 teams wanting to sign him, and he probably did up until Cam Robinson, because it wasn't the Rams game. It started with the Lions game before that. Yeah. Awful. 21 pressures in 2 games. Just terrible.
And he actually played pretty well in the regular season loss as well. I think he did. Here is total numbers against the Rams in 2 games last year. 43 out of 65, that's 66%. 4 touchdowns, 1 interceptions, but he got sacked 12 times. Mm-hmm. When you've watched Sam play this year, you've watched him through 9 regular season games now. How does he look different to you, if at all, from what he looked like in that playoff loss?
Well, I mean, I like that you said it, because it's not just that you cover Seattle and you're a fan that you're saying it, football. And Sam Darnold, I mean, my team was on the opposite end of it. And I just, when people say the Rams own Sam Darnold, yes, he's not Stafford. Okay. He's not going to go down the field and win the way Stafford did in the Super Bowl. Maybe he could go down the field and win, but has he done it yet in his career in that big moment? No. Yeah, but also, they had no run game because the Rams kind of, shut them down there. And then I don't think enough credit's given to the Rams secondary, even to this day. Akello Witherspoon absolutely shut down Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Darius Williams was playing out of his mind. Kobe Durant was playing very well. The safety room, Quentin Lake, Cam Curl, they were so dominant. And a lot of the time, you go back to some of the calls and you hear, he's holding the ball too long. Throw it, man. See, people don't think about that. What is he saying in that moment? He's saying that it's basically a coverage sack, no? The pressure didn't exactly get there. He's just trying to make something happen because they're down and they're not. I mean, this was a domination, and he was trying to make a play, and he was like, look, I got TJ Hawkinson, I got Justin Jefferson, I got Jordan Addison. Somebody has to get open, right? And no one was getting open. So I don't feel like that's really talked about nearly enough. And then again, left tackle, like I said, Cam Robinson was filling in because the first game, what's his face? Christian Darrisaw went down, and they went out and traded for Cam Robinson, and it was just absolutely terrible. I honestly, it bothers me how bad he was because that's just not acceptable. I understand you played against Jared Verse. I get that. That was not, I played against Jared Verse. That was just pure laziness. It's why he was just traded this year. I don't even remember where he is now. But the point being is that is who was protecting Sam's blind side. I think if you could learn anything from that game, when there's not anything there, your God-given talent, take off, run, right? So he's a lot different than that game. He's a lot different. And what I mean by that is he's honestly the same as I saw him last year in the regular season, just a more matured version, just more reps, more knowledge. And I think he's in a better offense for him. But he's nothing like the playoff Sam, because I just think that game was kind of an anomaly. Not to take credit away from the Rams defense, they dominated, but there were a lot of things that were out of Sam's control. So I like to try and see all sides of it. And that's just kind of how I look at it, Dan. I think right now, both teams, funny enough, should be 9-0.
Very easily could be.
They could have beaten the Bucks. They absolutely should have beaten the 49ers. If Woolen turns around and actually plays that ball, the game is over. So they should have beaten the Niners. And then the Rams, you get 2 blocked kicks by the Eagles. I mean, that's just fluke. That never happens. Weird, except man. It wasn't, because the Rams special teams kicking operation was not good. And then the 49er game, you fumble at the 1-yard line, Kyron Williams, then you get the ball back in overtime, and you call a run play for God knows why, the same run play that the Eagles stopped you in week 3 on 4th and short, and you call that, you go all the way down the field, you're in the red zone. Yeah, both teams should be 9-0 right now. It should be like the Rams Saints in 2018 when they first faced each other. They were both 8-0. That's what it should be, in my opinion. But regardless, these are the NFL's best. And I think I cannot believe they buried this game at a 4:05 slot.
Regional,
Just absolute pathetic. I mean, that's just pathetic, truthfully. But I think it's going to be an absolute banger. And I know these defenses are great. There's going to be a lot of points scored. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a lot of points scored. And I don't know if you're aware of this. I definitely am, because obviously I follow this team. But the Rams, Sean McVay, all 3 of the games against a Mike Macdonald coach team. Now, Mike Macdonald was with the Ravens when the Rams played him. All 3 of these games have come down to the wire. Even the one with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm came down to the goal line. So they all came down to the final play. The first one was against Baltimore in 2023. It was the incredible overtime game in the rain. They didn't care. They were throwing it all over the yard. Yeah. Tylan Wallace returned the punt for a touchdown. The second one was the Demarcus Robinson game winner, 26-20, one-handed catch over Woolen. And then the third one was 25, or I believe it's 30-25, and Garoppolo, 4th down, incomplete pass at the goal line. It comes down to the wire with these two. I'm just saying, it wouldn't be surprised. I mean, 2 of the 3 have gone to OT. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get some extra football.
10 of the last 16 regular season games between these two teams have been one score affairs.
Yeah.
8 points or fewer. It's funny. You pointing out the 2 losses each team has. Both of them would qualify for this. This is what Sam Darnold would say about all 4 of those games.
Oh man, what a weird game.
That's it right there. That's Sam's up. And of all the things that I listed earlier, these teams have in common, you touched on it a little bit ago. It is remarkable how Sam and Matthew are both among the top 5, I think, still in the league in time to throw. They're getting rid of the ball incredibly quick. It's one of the parts of Sam's game in this offense that he's really taken a step forward from last year in Minnesota when he was, I think, bottom 3 among starting quarterbacks in time to throw. And yet they're still getting the ball downfield. Those things don't seem to line up, but they're both among the highest in the league in average depth of target. You mentioned Devontae Adams, his impact on this offense. Now, he had to leave the game on Sunday with an oblique injury. Didn't look good at the time. It sounds like, though, everyone is expecting him to play.
Yeah, he's going to play. I don't know what that's going to look like, but Sean McVay hasn't said he's going to be limited or anything like that. It sounds like he'll be good to go. I would say, they don't have Tutu Atwell in this game, so the wide receiver room does have, some depth issues there. If Adams can't go, we're going to be looking at, Konate Mumfield and Jordan Whittington and Xavier Smith, and then who knows, maybe they call up a Tyler Scott off the practice squad. They only have 1 spot because they're currently using a kicker off the practice squad. So we'll see. But I also think the thing that can kind of combat that is their heavy usage in 13 personnel grouping and using those tight ends. So I think that will probably be what they decide to do if Adams indeed he's going, but he's on like some sort of like a pitch count, kind of a decoy, I could see that.
It's really one of the remarkable things about that offense is their tight end usage, leading the league by a wide margin in 13 personnel. Seahawks like to use their tight ends too, but they're more of a 12 personnel team. And then I think last week, touchdown passes to 3 of the tight ends. Do I have that right? Including our old friend Colby Parkinson here. And what's remarkable, and I think one of the storylines that I'm fascinated to watch on Sunday is they run more heavy personnel than any team in the league. They have one of the bigger offensive lines in the league. That was a clear shift that they made a couple years ago when they went to more of a gap power scheme. And then you add those tight ends into it. And yet what we're going to see on Sunday, and what is really remarkable to me about this Mike Macdonald defense, is they aren't going to match the Rams with heavy personnel on defense. They'll still go a lot of nickel and dime. And yet somehow in the running game, because of just their gap integrity and how well they work together, they find a way to match up with these teams that are bigger than them. We even saw it against the Cardinals last week, just because they play so they're so disciplined, as I said, and they're so violent. Even their safeties and corners come up and take on blockers. It's one of the more remarkable storylines I think we're going to see. Do you expect more of the same, what's been working for the Rams on offense, or could we see McVay maybe with a different approach?
Yeah, it's really interesting because of the personnel. I mean, you're dealing with like Drake Thomas is a really good player. Ernest will be back, and then you have Eamon Worry. I think
they made him take down the tweet that he put up on Monday where he was coming back to life.
Do you think that means he's not going to play?
No, I think someone just said, "Hey, let's try to have a little bit of mystery around this." Yeah,
that makes sense because I've seen that too. Jared Verse did that once. It's like, "Oh, I'm good, everything's good," like because he got dinged up in a game, and they made him take the tweet down. Yeah, no fun league. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I think Eamon Worry is the thing that really complicates this operation because, unless I'm mistaken, Eamon Worry missed some games, right? Earlier in the year.
The 5th snap of the year and missed 3 games after that, I think. 3.
That's what I thought. So their numbers are not great against tight ends. But I think a lot of that is Eamon Worry missing 3 games might kind of
frankly, a lot of that is they've shut down wide receivers. Teams have had to go to their tight ends, and you know that's what the holes have been because they've shut everybody else down. They pressed Marvin Harrison last week with Reek Woolen playing his best game of the year, basically took him out of the game, so they had to go to Trey McBride.
Okay. Yeah, I see, like for me, I think that they're going to still keep 11 personnel in the arsenal. But they are expecting, because the 13 personnel doing that against the 49ers, the way it's being talked about this week, everybody knows they're doing it now. So it's not one of those things that you can just break out. It looked like the 49ers didn't even watch Rams tape. Like, they didn't even have any answer for 13. They were just throwing out Gifford and, Bethune, and these guys just can't cover like a Terrence Ferguson, right? So speaking of which, I think he's the X factor in this game. Like, I think he's going to catch 2 touchdowns in this game.
Well, I'm going to take Jake's word for it. He says Terrence Ferguson's going to score 2 touchdowns in this game. I'll enter that in on the Games of Skill on the Sleeper app. Haven't done that well in those this year, but if you want to check that out, now is the best time. See that right there? They're just going to give you $20 free just for signing up. Don't even need to make a deposit. You can use that any way you want, but if you do want to make a deposit, they're going to match that first one up to $100, 100%. If you want to look elsewhere around the app, you're going to find out why it's the #1 fastest growing sports app in the country. Fantasy football, daily fantasy sports. You can pick games like we do in our Seahawks Forever bracket, where I am now officially in second place, no longer leading the way. The other thing that's great about this app, if you want to follow a game, you can't get to a television set, they have the best play-by-play real-time tracking where you can interact with each and every play and chat with the other users while you're at it. Check out the Sleeper app today. Terms and conditions do apply. Use that promo code FOREVER to take advantage of these offers.
Because you can move him all over the line. You can move him all over. You could be a slot guy. You can be on the outside. He was working with the wide receivers when I, was out there in San Fran. But, I think he's going to be kind of the key to this game, because you can dial up 13 or 12 or 11. But if you kind of have that big, 6'6", 255-pound tight end moving the way he does, it's going to complicate things. And that is going to be your equalizer to having Eamon, because Eamon can take away a Higbee. He can take away, a Parkinson. He can take away Allen. Good athletes, but, Ferguson's where it gets interesting, because he's given everybody fits. He wins over the top. He, his footwork, he's really good. It's been a matter of, Sean McVay even said, I'm kind of an idiot for not using him more, right? So I kind of feel like we're going to and we've already seen it, we're going to see more of Terrence Ferguson this Sunday. And like I said, I really think he's going to have like a 2-touchdown game. This is the type of game for that, because I think you're going to key in on Puka, you're going to key in on Adams, and then boom, Terrence Ferguson's just going to find the soft spot. And, I understand, from what I've been seeing for the tight ends anyway, that soft spot, we saw Dalton Schultz kind of pick that apart on the left side of the field. I feel like Ferguson can kind of, start out on the right side of the formation, maybe out wide, maybe in the slot, what have you, and then he can kind of peel over and, get over to that left side. And then he's been dangerous down the sideline as well. So I think that's kind of their X factor there. I'm expecting they run all personnel, 11, 12, and 13, but I don't think they're going to move away from what has been working unless Macdonald takes it away. If Macdonald takes it away, that will be interesting. But
on that point, that the thing that I'm really going to be looking at the hardest this week is, I've maintained ever since Sean McVay arrived there, or certainly since he was paired with Stafford there, is the way that they have beaten us each and every year, and they've beat a lot of teams this way, is we just haven't been able to take away the one thing that Matthew Stafford does better than any quarterback in this league. I maintain is the deep dig route, the in-breaking middle of the field stuff, the 15 to 20 yard dig route. He just hits it over and over again, and we saw it against the Niners last week as well.
Adams, he's always just wide open.
Yep. You mentioned, and he and Nakua, it's really their best route, the two of them.
Yeah.
And so they're hitting you from both sides. I think Eamon to me is the X factor a little bit, because he gives us something we haven't had before, and a guy that can get back, and he's proven even in his rookie season. We saw it against the Houston Texans with a remarkable recovery and pass deflection on a route exactly like that. We saw it a number of times against the Cardinals last week, that he may just give them something they haven't had before, and maybe interfere with that just slightly. There's something I want to ask you about as well, because I was just simply shocked by this, and it obviously didn't impact the final score. It was a comfortable win for the Rams. But the fact that defense, that defensive front, and all the ways they can attack you, and Braden Fisk and Byron Young, and obviously Jared Verse, that 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit against what I consider to be middle of the pack offensive line. What happened there? Was it just that they didn't have to be aggressive? Or was it anything that the Niners did to take that away? I was shocked to see those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I just think Mac Jones had such a quick trigger on Sunday. And it wasn't really that big of a deal because, I think in part they got their pressure early on. And it's weird. I didn't really agree. Like, I forget how many pressures they said they got. I don't know if I agree with it. I thought they got more pressure at the beginning of the game, but when they went up like 21-0, the game shifted. And I feel like the Rams played more back and they're fine letting them go down the field because it's like now we have the clock, and that's when like Kyle Shanahan's like, okay, well, we can't run it with Christian McCaffrey, but if they're going to stay in that kind of like lighter front and, play off, we can just throw Brian Robinson in there and he's going to be a battering ram for this defense. And we can't move the ball without that. So that's kind of what happened. But no, I think Mac Jones was just getting rid of the ball quickly. I think it's actually hilarious they're starting Brock Purdy because this is such a must-win game for them, by the way. Like, I think they're going to lose because I think they're making a mistake. Mac Jones is really good, man. He's really good. Yeah, I'm impressed with the things that I've seen, his decision-making, and I think the Rams are as well. Like, he is not a good matchup against the Rams because he's got such a quick trigger. Like, he'll make two reads and he's already thrown the ball, and there's some other guys that's like you would expect that have lost their kind of starting title in the league, and they've lost it because they hold on to the ball too long. Right. He gets rid of it quickly and he makes good decisions for the most part. So yeah, I think really it was more so that, Dan, where, Mac was just getting rid of the ball quick, and I want to give it a lot of credit to Trent Williams. I thought he absolutely stifled Jared Verse. I do. But they didn't really need the pass rush, and they don't blitz a lot either. They're one of the fewest blitzing teams in the league. They're not, Brian Flores level where they're just going to blitz you until they're blue in the face type deal. The Rams are cautious about that. So we'll see. I mean, you don't want to blitz Stafford either, right? Because he'll just rip you apart. But as far as the pressure is concerned, I wasn't overly concerned. The 42-26 was really like a 42-20. And really, it could have been a 49-20 if the Rams were the Lions and they wanted to run up the score, because I think the Rams have the most kneel downs in the red zone in the league. So Sean McVay doesn't like running up the score on his colleagues or anybody for that matter. But yeah, if it was Dan Campbell, they would have run a bootleg and thrown a touchdown or something like that.
If the Seahawks are going to win this game, what do you think the key would be for them?
Yeah, I think it really starts with that run game, because the Rams haven't had to worry defensively about any team running the football against them. They took to heart everybody talking about, Saquon Barkley made this Rams defense look like a joke last year, over 400 yards in 2 games. Well, they took it seriously. They went out and got Nate Landman, who's been fantastic in the linebacker room, could punch the ball out at any given time, by the way. He's been doing that. And then Poona Ford, who's been huge. But because of that, no one's been able to run against them. Saquon had 48 yards. Even Jonathan Taylor was going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, barring something crazy. He only had under 80 yards in that game, in a game that they were controlling in the fourth quarter. So they did a nice job kind of holding him in check. Christian McCaffrey, 2.7 yards per carry. They've just done a really nice job against these guys. Alvin Kamara didn't do a damn thing. So this is one of those games where they haven't seen, the defense hasn't been in a script where they now can't stop the run and it's activated play action on another level. It's activated the rest of the offense. So that, if I'm Seattle, that's what I'm doing. I'm running the football early and often because I know Sam Darnold, who can get rid of the ball quickly, who's going to neutralize that pass rush because he can just get rid of the ball quickly. I know that Darnold can make plays downfield. I know that we rely on explosives and the Rams give up the 5th fewest in the league. I get that. But I have to feel confident and comfortable about what he's done, what he's brought me to at this point, that I can see and I can stick to the run. And if it doesn't work in the first half, we'll get back to it in the second. We can go back to passing it more. but I really need to establish that run early on. I need to put some pressure on this defense. I need to give them something that they haven't seen all year. I have to make this game something that they haven't experienced all year. Once you do that, now another team has to dig deep. Now another team's thinking. Now you have another team playing the mental game. You're in their head. And so if Kenneth Walker comes out and he starts running the ball and you're seeing 5-6 yards per carry, and then they get in their lighter personnel because they're like, okay, well, we got to stop. They run a ton of dime, right? And then all of a sudden you throw in Zach Charbonnet and he's ramming guys like, he's Brian Robinson last week. Well, now the Rams are in trouble. Now their back is against the wall. And now it's going to put more pressure on the offense to have to score every time down. And that's kind of where I could see this game going, because the Rams it feels like they're due. They've dominated the run. I could see a game where like Seattle's really methodical with the run game. I feel like they are going to abandon it. They're not going to stick to it to the point where they're going to run it 40 plus times like Shanahan wants to, but they're going to do enough where it operates, or rather it activates different things on the offense that they want to do. And now the Rams have to be cognizant of that. That's why I don't feel like this is going to be a defensive battle. I think this is going to come down to the wire. I think this might be the last team that holds the football wins the game. And I think this is going to be an offensive showdown.
I used to be one of those people that could fall asleep anywhere, anytime. It was awesome. But over the last few years, that's changed. If it's outside noise or neighbors in my building, midnight zoomy cat Olympics, or just the effects of age, it's gotten tougher. For years now, I've had to run a fan for white noise, and I've tried melatonin and sleep aids, but I wake up feeling groggy, and that's no way to start the day. But then I was introduced to the Manta Sound Sleep Mask. And this thing, guys, I'm telling you, this is a game changer. It gives me true 100% blackout and has ultra-thin Bluetooth 5.2 speakers built right into the mask, so I can fall asleep to the sound of music, something I've done since I was a kid. And I'm telling you, the sound quality of these speakers honestly blew me away. I was not expecting them to be as good as they are. And now I don't have to deal with earbuds falling out while I toss and turn. Plus, it's got a 20-hour battery life and can be used without the speakers. You simply remove that outer layer held on by Velcro. So if falling asleep at night or just taking a much-needed nap has gotten tougher for you too, check out the Manta Sound Sleep Mask at mantasleep.com. And if you use my promo code FOREVER, they're going to give you 10% off your purchase. So just go to the description of this video, click the link, use the promo code, and enjoy the best sleep you've ever had. Something to watch for early is that running game. We saw something really interesting develop here against the Cardinals on Sunday. Starting center Jalen Sandell went out in the second quarter. Olu Oluwatimi, who has started plenty of games over the last couple of years, came in. And in the second half, when the Cardinals knew we were going to run the football, we had one scoring drive, field goal drive where we ran it 12 straight times. And yet the running game looked better than it had all season. I think that's one of the things that one of the parts of Olu Oluwatimi's game that he has an edge over Jalen Sandell, and it's his position to run with now. We'll see early on if it looks anything more like it did against the Cardinals, because as far as the efficiency of the running game and the average per carry and all of that, it hasn't been what they've wanted it to be all year long. Despite that, Kubiak just continues to impress me with his commitment to it, his dedication to it, even when it's not really there. There's close to 50-50 pass run splits as any team in the league, regardless of whether the running game is working. But I'm with you. I think that's one key. And then the other one is the Seahawks been a little loose with the football. And some of that is when they've had a comfortable lead. But that really doesn't matter. And some of it, unfortunately, as well, has been when they're backed up in their own end zone, some key turnovers there, one of which cost us the game against Tampa Bay. But I'm with you. I'm not going to ask for a prediction on this one because, but I tend to agree with you that as much as I want to talk myself into a defensive battle, because sometimes when we expect a shootout, we get the opposite of that, right? But it does feel like the kind of game. Both these teams are among the league leaders in quick starts. They get out and they score early. They're both outstanding scripting offenses. But yet, like you said, some of the fourth quarter stuff is really good too. And both of these teams have a couple of games this year too that they'd like to have back where they had comfortable leads and let teams back into it. This feels like a shootout. Feels like a game that's going to go down to the last possession. And I'll be honest with you, it feels like these teams are playing for the first time of what may very well end up being 3 times this year.
Yeah, It absolutely does. It's funny. I was just watching. I was watching the game. The Sean McDonald catch in Seattle, and it's like it brought me back, and I was like, man, they actually played 3 times that year in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy year.
We like to forget that third game.
Well, didn't have much going in St. Louis after the Greatest Show on turf, so that was kind of a fun moment for me. But I mean, they got mollywopped by, what was it, the Falcons that year, so it wasn't anything. It was like 47-17, which everybody knew because the Falcons had pretty much done the same earlier in the year to the Rams, so it was one of those, we have no chance anyway. But interesting thing that I want to bring up about this game is that the Rams, because they were so bad for so long, Seattle kind of took the all-time series lead and really haven't looked back. But the Rams slowly but surely been piling up these wins, and they can get this thing back to 500 all-time, 28-28. It's 28-27 right now, Seattle. These are the little things I care about as a football historian myself. The Rams have won 14 of the last 21 matchups. Sean McVay is 11-6 for Seattle. And Matthew Stafford with the Rams is 5-0 against Seattle. So it'll be interesting. Seattle has not beaten the Rams with their expected starting quarterback, since Jared Goff in December of the 2020, when Goff broke his thumb in Seattle's 20-9 win to secure the division title.
Game? Is that John? Came in, or no?
Yeah, so John Wolford did not play in that game, I don't think. Maybe he came in, but I don't remember. It was the playoff game. He started, got knocked out by Jadeveon Clowney, and then Jared Goff with 9 fingers somehow found a way to win that game.
That's right. Well, Jake, it's always great to catch up with you. Thanks for taking the time. And we're not going to have to wait very long to talk again, because these two teams are going to meet again in Week 16, when it will be time for us to break down the Seahawks rivalry uniforms. So
yeah,
enjoy this one. I think I'm with you. It's a shame it's buried in regional TV.
We talked about it on Twitter. We saw this from a mile away. It's like, okay.
Yep. Those rules need to be tweaked. I understand it. One of the rules is, because they're slated for primetime in Week 16, that they don't get another primetime game. I think that's ridiculous. Although
I didn't even know that. That's insane.
I will say this. I don't mind. Not a huge fan of what Brady's doing in the booth. I am perfectly fine getting the number 2 broadcast team for this game, because I think Greg Olsen does a fantastic job.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I love Joe Davis too. So I like Greg Olsen, and I think Joe Davis he's a great play-by-play guy. I thought he did a great job covering the World Series and the MLB playoffs. And, I think the last time, I guess this goes in your favor, the last time he called a Rams game was the Eagles game. So but he's exciting, man. He's got that voice, I don't know. Like I'm a fan of both of them. I really and I mean, no disrespect, but I'm just kind of tired of hearing Vilma and Kenny Albert. They always toss them over to us, and I know Jonathan Vilma has some like vendetta against the Rams. I don't know why, but it feels like every single time, and I'm not the only one that's noticed it, every single time he calls Rams games, he'll throw random stuff in there, and it's like, that doesn't sound very unbiased. But yeah, they called the overtime game last year.
Seahawks fans, a lot of Seahawks fans are convinced Greg Olsen has a vendetta against them and is very negative in games he calls. I don't see it. Maybe it's just because I understand that position a little bit more because I've done it. But he had the one year. I think he does a great job. So anyway,
I like Greg Olsen.
Enjoy this weekend. Enjoy the game,
too, man.
And we'll catch up very, very soon and see where we're at then.
Yeah, shout out to the scheduling on this. What a weird schedule. The Rams are now playing the third division game. And they've already played 2 of them against one team. So to play the third division game in Week 11 is just bonkers to me.
Agreed. But whatever. I don't have any say in it. It's to me, in my easy fix that I suggested a couple weeks ago. It just seems like a simple programming matter, a software issue. Just make it so that within a division, if you were to split the season essentially in half, you're playing one of your opponents in each half. It should just be spread out a little bit more like that. We're playing the 49ers week 1 and then week 18. That's almost as ridiculous as this. And yet we're done.
It'd be so easy.
Done with the Cardinals.
Yeah, it'd be so easy. It'd be so easy if they did this. You got 4 teams in the division. Week 1, rivalry week. Week 2, rivalry week. And then you have week 18 and week 17, or week 17 and week 16. But either way, you have 2 and 2. And like, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like, I feel like you should, to your point, have it at the beginning, have it at the end, and then in between, have those big games, right? I mean, that I don't know. I don't really get it, but it is what it is. And
so many things that you and I could fix if we were in charge.
Yeah. 5 AFC games in the first 7 weeks is just...
Yeah, it's dumb. Well,
some dude just got carried away. I don't know. Really wanted to see the Rams-Texans matchup that bad. That was a weird way to start the season. I will say that. Yeah. But
well, it all leads us here, and the anticipation is probably a good thing. This feels like the biggest, at least from a Seahawks standpoint, biggest regular season matchup we've seen in some time. So Sunday cannot get here soon enough. Thanks again, Jake. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, guys, what do you think? What do you think of what Jake had to say? But also, I want to know how you're feeling about this game. Drop your predictions and your thoughts, your hot takes down in the comments. And then tune in right after the game. I'll go live with my reaction show on Sunday. This is a big one. Hopefully we framed that as well as we could for you. In the meantime, just so you make sure that you don't miss any of my content, hit that bell on YouTube. That way you'll get notified of any new videos I post. But really the best way to follow along with everything that I do is at Seahawks Forever on Twitter, because anytime I write or record or post anything, I will put it there. You can also, that's the best way to interact with me, and we can talk about some of the things as we get closer to the game. It's too early in the day to know the final injury report. But again, follow me on Twitter and I'll get that posted for you. We'll find out about Josh Jobe, Torrey Horton. Doesn't sound like he's going to play. We shall see. Until next time, forever and always go Hawks. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I know there's a lot of competition out there and you chose to watch this. And for that, I thank you. Until next time.